Oh, did the session end? I'm the only one who left the meeting. Did it end for everyone? Hello?
Yes.
Hello? Uh-huh. We are in an online session and sometimes there can be inconveniences. So I'm just asking because I just found myself out. Did the lesson end or the session end, or I'm the only one who was thrown out? So that I can know where to start from.
Ended.
Okay, fine. Now I want us to start. We are 6 minutes late. Our lesson should start as from 11:30. Now, I was presented with issues that need attention from the group. One of them was ecology. The other one was excretion. The other one was classification and specifically the dichotomous key. And the other one was mechanisms of gaseous exchange. Practically, those are sessions that need several lessons for them to be covered. 2 hours of very short time. Now, I have thought of taking my time with you to look at excretion. And then if time allows us, we will find time and look at the dichotomous key. I will not touch on ecology because classes are different levels of coverage. So I'll take my time on excretion, various parts of excretion, some specific areas which are critical, so that we are at par. Number two, I want the class to be as interactive as possible for us to do well. So very fast, I want us to go to the question that you did. That's question, in the exam you did, question number 5B. And you were asked a question to state 2 ways in which plants excrete their metabolic wastes. Last year, in their KCSE exam, paper 2, question number 7A, the first question was, you describe how plants eliminate their waste products. So that tells you that that question, when it comes to excretion in plants, is very key. Now, if you are asked such a question, you describe, or first let us start with listing down the various mechanisms in which plants eliminate their waste products. Now, it should come to your mind clearly that plants don't have structures or organs to eliminate their metabolic wastes. Of course, they use mechanisms or processes to eliminate their waste products. Now, one, what are these mechanisms that these plants use to eliminate their metabolic wastes? That's where I want us to start from. So I want to see hands up, and then we create a good discussion from that. So I want us to go first because we have a lot to cover. Yes. Question number 1, I want to see hands. So what are some of the ways in which plants eliminate their waste products? Are guys hearing me? Are you guys able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So I want us to talk. So I'm not seeing hands. Yeah. Ama ni mimi sioni mikono, sijui kuona. Let me see. Yes, I'm seeing Jeff, let's go.
Yeah, diffusion.
Okay, one of the ways is diffusion. So now, Jeff, how does diffusion as a mechanism? We have said that plants use mechanisms. So how does diffusion as a mechanism enable plants to eliminate their metabolic wastes? Yes. Jeff, and the rest of us. Now, after stating, now that question can be asked as an essay, as it was asked In last year's exam, students were asked to describe how plants eliminate their metabolic wastes. So you have stated for us that plants eliminate, one of the mechanisms is diffusion, okay? Now, my question is, how does diffusion enhance
Yes.
elimination of metabolic wastes? Yes, I want to a response. Somebody from the class, I need responses. Michael,
Can you please repeat the question?
I'm asking, the question is, now describe how plants eliminate their waste products. Okay, you describe. So Jeff has stated for us a mechanism. But now I want somebody to tell us how the mechanism that Jeff has stated is diffusion. So somebody to explain to us how diffusion enables plants to eliminate their metabolic wastes.
Okay, so according to, let's say during after respiration and carbon dioxide has been produced, it will be at a higher concentration within the plant than outside. So due to that, it will diffuse out, so that excretory product has been excreted.
Now, diffusion goes hand in hand with recycling or reuse of metabolic wastes. Why? Because there are two main processes that produce metabolic wastes in plants. One of the processes is respiration. Respiration produces carbon dioxide. Now, I want you to know that even during the day, respiration is taking place, but it is taking place at a slower rate than photosynthesis. The main process during the day is photosynthesis, but you know that plant cells cannot carry out their processes without energy, and this energy comes from respiration. And so once respiration takes place, it produces carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide is reused by the plant, to carry out photosynthesis, okay? During the day at the same time, we have said that the rate of photosynthesis is very high, and so it produces oxygen gas. And some of this oxygen gas is used by the plant to carry out respiration as a process. So that's why diffusion can be stopped with reuse or recycle, because these gases like carbon dioxide, some of it is used for photosynthesis, thus excess diffuses out. The same case to oxygen, that some of it will be used for respiration, excess diffuses out of the plant. I don't know if somebody is there with me. Are we together?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there any question there?
Yes.
Question?
Yes.
Okay. Which is the other process? The other process, we have talked about diffusion. There are about 5 processes. There are actually 5 mechanisms. Okay. Ken Njagi.
Some plants store their metabolic wastes in leaves, which they later shed off.
Yeah, so that process, Jeff, is called deposition. Okay, it's called deposition. Deposition, or if you want to use the name storage, you say that they store storage of metabolic wastes in non-toxic forms. Okay, in non-toxic forms. Okay, if you want to use now falling of leaves, we can talk about organ fall. Organ fall. So we can stroke that deposition, storage in non-toxic form, organ fall. And the point is, so how do you describe it? That some wastes that are produced by plants, like the calcium oxalates, like the nicotine, like the quinine, are stored in non-toxic forms in tissues. Which are these tissues? These tissues include the leaves, the flowers, the buds, the seeds, the fruits. And they are eliminated once these tissues fall off. They are eliminated once these tissues fall off. I'm seeing two hands. That's for Maxwell Joram. You come first, then John Paul Umbaso comes next. So Maxwell.
Some wastes are excreted through exudation, such as gum, through a slow process of removal.
Yeah, exudation is another mechanism. Now, you know that some wastes that are produced by plants are semi-solid, and so they are excreted by plants, or they can be semi-solid form, or they can be in salt form, or things like latex, gum, resins, calcium pectates. They are eliminated by plants through exudation. The semi-solid wastes, they exude from the plants. Okay. Then John Paul.
Another mechanism is guttation.
Guttation, okay.
Which involves excretion of excess water in form of water droplets.
Yeah, excess water. And the term excess is important. That excess water is eliminated or excreted from plants in the form of water droplets through structures called hydrothots. And this occurs especially in those humid areas where the environment is very humid, and the plants have, there's enough water. Of course, they're able to absorb enough water. There's accumulation of water. And so transpiration is not very efficient in eliminating excess water. And so such plants with hydrothots use guttation. Another process, I'm seeing Melvin Wanjala. Melvin.
Mine's a question.
Yes.
Can you see that exudation and guttation is the same point, because they all involve excretion of products like liquid water, resins and salts through special pores?
That's a good question. Before I answer him a question, he's saying Melvin Wanjala is asking a question. And if I got him well, he's asking if exudation and guttation are the same, because they are both involving elimination or excretion of wastes that are liquid in nature. Who can answer in that before I respond? I'm seeing John Paul.
I can say that in exudation, the wastes are excreted in semi-solid form, while in guttation, they are in form of liquid droplets.
Okay, relatively a good answer. This is Melvin. In exudation, we are having wastes that are semi-solid. Examples of this waste is gum, resins, and things like latex. Now, in guttation, it is water. Altogether, it's water. And this water, of course, in guttation, it has some dissolved salts in it. So basically, in guttation, we're talking about water and some of the dissolved salts in it. In exudation, we are purely talking about wastes that contain more solids in them, that they become semi-solid. Ziko ujiuji hivi. Sawa. Melvin.
Yes.
Is Melvin there?
Yes, I'm here.
So Melvin, are you answered?
Yes, I'm answered.
Yes. Now, so the Melvin, you can give us the last process, the last mechanism.
The plant byproducts are stored in heartwood.
So we have talked about deposition. We've talked about diffusion. We've talked about exudation and guttation. There's another simple mechanism that most of you have forgotten. You guys have not talked about transpiration. You guys have not talked about transpiration, okay? Transpiration. Yeah, where excess water is eliminated in the form of water vapor. Sawa. Now,
Yes.
now can somebody differentiate for me between transpiration and guttation? Somebody to differentiate for us between guttation and transpiration. Melvin is here. I want somebody else. Melvin has been talking a lot here. Somebody else. Jonathan.
Guttation is the process by which excess water is excreted in liquid form, while transpiration, it still involves excretion of excess water, but in gaseous form.
In vapor, in form of vapor. Are you together? The water vapor. Now,
yes.
What is the difference? What is the difference in the constituent of the water that is excreted in transpiration and that of guttation? What is the difference in their content? Cyrus. Cyrus.
Okay. This contains also
You're breaking a lot. Joram.
Water is lost either in the form of water vapor to the atmosphere through a process known as transpiration, and it is also lost in the form of water droplets through a process called guttation.
Now, what's the difference in their constituents?
In guttation, it is released as water droplets, while in transpiration, it is in the form of vapor, or as somebody has mentioned, gases.
No, now, yes, that is okay. That's okay. That's very okay. Okay, that's quite okay. But then we are in the constituent. So both of it is water. So. But what differentiates this water in terms of content in this water? Kipto, Christian.
Can we say that since water is a liquid, the one released from hydrotherms contains more solids, and the one released in vapor form does not contain any solid, since it is in vapor form?
Yes, no, that's very okay. Water from transpiration is pure water. Together, doesn't have salts dissolved in it. The water that is from guttation has a lot of dissolved substances, including salts. That's okay, Kipto. So that is on the issue of how plants eliminate their metabolic wastes. I'm seeing a hand up from John Paul Ombaso. John Paul, are you there? Okay. Because we have a lot of issues, I don't know if there's somebody who has a question at that point. If there's somebody who has a question, please ask before we move to the next phase. Swali. Is there a question anywhere? So we all agree that if somebody, now if I can ask a question, there's a question we asked the Form 4s, and I want to open it. Just give me a minute. I read for you that question. Then I see. Now, write this question down, and you guys try to answer for me that question. With regards to excretion, with regards to excretion, with regards to excretion, with regards to excretion, state the difference between plants and animals with regards to excretion. State the difference between plants and animals. How will you respond to that question? With regards to excretion, state the difference between plants and animals. Very fast, hands in the air. No hands. Yeah, Jeff. Jeff.
So yes. So one difference is plants have simple excretory organs while animals have complex excretory organs.
Is that answer true? Is it true that plants have
Google.
simple excretory organs while animals have complex excretory organs? Is that answer true, Victory Munene?
Yeah, I think it is true.
It's true. Okay, no, it isn't. Now let me just respond to it very fast. It isn't. Now, animals don't have excretory organs. And plants don't have excretory organs. They do have mechanisms like diffusion, deposition, guttation. As you can see, transpiration, diffusion, deposition, exudation, and guttation are not organs. They are mechanisms.
Yes.
Plants use mechanisms to make their metabolic wastes. Animals use organs, excretory organs. So I want you to know that. I want you to avoid saying that plants have simple excretory organs. They don't. They use mechanisms. Okay? Sawa. Are we clear?
Yes.
Yeah. So I want us to move to our next point. If there is no question from your side, I'll ask you questions from my side. The next question, and that was asked during last year's KCSE, Justin Mutua, a question.
Klasi yako inaongea bila nini earphone. Msaidia kitu.
Justin Mutua. Okay. Sawa.
Lakini hadi unasikia je?
Hey, somebody mute. Caleb.
Ukweli
Caleb, mute.
Sauti kwa maximum. Unasikia nani?
Now, I think Mr. Ombiro, I think you can make me the host so that I can be able to mute some guys here. We're making a lot of noise. Now the next question is you discuss the structure and function of the kidney nephron. Discuss the structure and function of the kidney nephron. Now, how do you go about such a question? How do you go about such a question? Somebody's really making a lot of noise from the other side. Caleb Nyatuanga, Murina. Can you guys mute? Kuna mtu anacheza na mtoto mahali. You are in class. Now, discuss the structure and function of the mammalian and kidney nephron. Now, how do you go about it? It was one of the questions in last year's exam, and it was amounting to 12 marks. So how do you go about such a question in an exam? I was trying to pick critical areas that can be asked. Now, how do you go about such a question? The structure and function of a kidney nephron. So this is a kidney nephron. Hey.
You want a galley? Okay.
Alinol, Yero, please mute. Can you mute? Now, I'm asking a question. We are asked to describe the structure and function of the mammalian nephron. How will you go about that question? I want to see responses from you. Alinor, Yellow, I mean, Yero. Can you mute? Yes. So can you guys respond to that question? Can you guys respond that question? Describe the structure and function of the mammalian nephron. How do you go about that question in an exam? What does the question want from you? Yes. Maxwell, Joram.
Sure, I think you name the part of the nephron and then you give its functions.
You name the part and you give its function, okay? Yes. So actually that is how it is. Now, Joram, can you give us an example of how you will answer one using one of the parts?
I would go for glomerulus. And this is a fine network of blood capillaries whose function is to increase surface area for ultrafiltration to take place.
Okay, so you've gone for the glomerulus, and I like that one of the things you have done is you have described the structure of the glomerulus, okay? You've said that is the glomerulus, that's the structure. Then now you've gone to the modification of course that it's a fine network of blood capillaries. And then you've said that it increases surface area for ultrafiltration. It's a place where ultrafiltration takes place. That's okay. Any other response? Any other response? Now I'll be forced to throw some individuals out of the class. Any other response? Any other response? We have talked about the glomerulus. This is, I think I have projected the structure of the kidney nephron, yeah? The structure of the kidney nephron. And, you know, a kidney nephron is divided into two parts. We have the renal tubule, and then we have the glomerulus. Of course, the glomerulus comes first, and a glomerulus is formed from the arteries. You remember?
Yes.
The afferent arteriole comes or is a branch. Okay. Let me say this. We have the blood capillaries supplying the kidney with the blood and specifically the nephrons. Because we have the dorsal aorta, which branches to form the renal artery, and the renal artery branches further to form the afferent arterioles that supply nephrons with blood. Now, the glomerulus is formed when this afferent arteriole undergoes branching. It undergoes serious branching to form so many capillaries that form the glomerulus. And then after forming the glomerulus, of course, it lives as the efferent arteriole. It's a very different component. That's why the glomerulus is different. It's a bit different from the renal tubule. Now the renal tubule comes and joins the glomerulus, and the renal tubule consists of 5 parts, which is the Bowman's capsule, proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, a distal convoluted tubule, and the collecting duct. And so when you're told to discuss the structure and function, of course, you discuss the way our friend has taught us about the glomerulus. But now when I want us to discuss all of them. There are some things I want to be critical about. So we have talked about the glomerulus. Somebody to tell us of another part and how it is able to function. You've said that the glomeruli is site for ultrafiltration. Okay. And after ultrafiltration, of course, we are able to form the glomerular filtrate. Victory Munene.
Okay, so I'll go for the proximal convoluted tubule.
You go for the proximal convoluted tubule. Yes, tell us about it.
First of all, it has several adaptations to ensure its function of efficient reabsorption.
Yes.
Examples is cells lining the tubules have numerous mitochondria to produce energy for active reabsorption of materials back to the blood. Also, cells lining the tubules have microvilli to increase the surface area for reabsorption.
Okay.
Yeah, I think those are some of the adaptations.
Adaptations. So
Yeah.
essentially, Victor Munena, now I will ask you one simple question, okay? Besides the adaptations, okay? Now, what is the function of the proximal convoluted tubule?
I think in the proximal convoluted tubule, the glucose, amino acids, vitamins, sodium chloride, and sodium hydrogen carbonate diffuse out of the tubules back into the blood capillaries till the concentration becomes equal.
So the point is that useful substances, that's the point, together. In the proximal convoluted tubule, useful substances are reabsorbed into the bloodstream, together. Now, what are these useful substances? We have water, of course. We have glucose. We have some mineral salts, together, which are selectively reabsorbed in the bloodstream. So, now, the point here is in the proximal convoluted tubule, in a normal person, person whose system is functioning normally, all the amino acids and all the glucose are reabsorbed into the bloodstream. All the amino acids and all the glucose. That's why in a normal person, once blood passes through the proximal, and it's called the glomerular filtrate now, not the blood, of course. After ultrafiltration, what comes down into the Bowman's capsule is the glomerular filtrate. Once the filtrate leaves the proximal convoluted tubule, in a normal person, it will not have any glucose, it will not have any amino acids, because they will have been completely reabsorbed there. Are you together? So other substances that are reabsorbed is water, some water, and mineral salts. Now, what else there? Now, when still on the same question, if you commit yourself as a student, when you're answering that question on the proximal convoluted tubule, you commit yourself, because you remember the first mention I said that useful substances are reabsorbed in the proximal convoluted tubule. But if you commit yourself that you're going to list the useful substances, say useful substances such as some water, mineral salts, glucose. If you commit yourself, you have to name 2 or more. At least 2, you have to name 2. Ukinem moja utapata. Some useful substances. You commit yourself, you have to name at least 2. Okay? Are we clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mwalimu.
Yes, excused.
Yes, Mwalimu. Yes.
Ask. I'm waiting for somebody to ask. Okay. So we are clear there? We are clear? Yes. I'm seeing somebody also saying that the proximal convoluted tubule is highly coiled. Yes, it is. It is highly coiled to reduce the speed with which the glomerular filtrate is moving, so that to give enough time for reabsorption to take place. It's okay. The microvilli there, the mitochondria there, spin epithelial layer, all those. And the same adaptations of the proximal convoluted tubule are exactly the same as the distal convoluted tubule. We continue. So another response, another structure and function, somebody to mention a structure and function very fast. Mtu mention, we are talking about the nephron. Uniraisi. Hands in the air. No hands. Still, I can't believe. Now, you guys, I don't know. Not this serious. Hey, Alex Sapuda, name a structure. Mhm. Hey, I can't proceed with you guys if we don't. We have to interact here. Yes, Ian Okumu. Ian.
Yes.
Ian.
We have the loop of Henle.
Loop of Henle. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Which has the countercurrent flow system to increase the diffusion of materials into the bloodstream.
What have you said? That the loop of Henle has a countercurrent.
KKKK.
That thing KKK. Now tell us if you know. Who is that whistling? Now we are saying this, we are saying this, that the loop of Henle does not have a countercurrent flow. Now, a countercurrent flow is brought about by the opposite flow of the glomerular filtrate and the blood. I'll explain that. The way the blood in the capillaries flows in the opposite direction to the flow of the glomerular filtrate. Now, that is not a modification of the loop of Henle. Take the loop of Henle by itself and tell us the modification. I'm seeing Emmanuel Kanyugo somewhere. Emmanuel, can you tell us something?
The loop of Henle. The loop of Henle is long with the descending limb to increase surface area for reabsorption of water.
Now it is long, of course, just to increase the surface area. But then now there's a disclaimer here that you guys have to know. Sawa.
Yes.
When you are talking about the loop of Henle, you have to mention the descending and the ascending loop of Henle. Sawa. So you have to mention now what is the function of the descending loop of Henle? Reabsorption of what? Water.
Yes.
Sawa. And the ascending, reabsorption of what? Mineral salts. So when you're mentioning the loop of Henle, please, you must differentiate. You must say that it has the descending loop of Henle to reabsorb water, and the ascending loop of Henle to reabsorb salts. So that one you must mention it like that when you're describing the structure and function. That one must be like that. Sawa.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other function?
Yes.
You think Jeremy Kibori?
We never got the disclaimer. Can you kindly repeat?
I'm saying this when you mention, when you're explaining, if you're told to describe the structure and function of the kidney nephron, and you come to the loop of Henle, so you don't just generalize the loop of Henle like that. You mention the descending loop of Henle and say there's the descending loop of Henle that plays a role in reabsorption, using the reabsorption of water. And we have the ascending loop of Henle that reabsorbs salts or mineral salts. Are you together? Into the bloodstream. Okay.
Yes.
So you have to differentiate those two sides because they play different roles. Tuko sawa?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. Another part that you think that we need to talk about. And by the way, before we move from the loop of Henle, before we move to the right side of our nephron, we are still on the left side. So it is key, very important for you to understand, for you to mention the processes. Who is that whistling in class? Do you know I will throw you out of this class now? I will catch. Okay. And once I catch, I throw you out of class. Okay. I'm saying this. Now you don't make funny jokes. You digress the mind of the teacher. I'm saying that there's something that you should note in the proximal convoluted tubule. There's something that you should note. You should also mention the processes through which materials are reabsorbed. So, like for example, when you're talking about the mineral salts and glucose, you will talk about active transport. Now, when you talk about absorption of water here, it must be osmosis. And osmosis will come about after reabsorption of salts and glucose has taken place, and the osmotic pressure of the blood has increased. Stay together. Another process is diffusion. It's diffusion because of the concentration gradient. So, somebody's asking here, Steve Otieno, what are the blood vessels that supply the kidney with blood? Now, the blood vessel that supplies the kidney with the blood is the renal artery. Okay, renal artery is a branch of the dorsal aorta. Dorsal aorta is the outer. No, the body. When you talk about the orientation of the body, the conformation of the body, the side that is on your chest region, that's the ventral side. The side that is towards the back, komgongo, is the dorsal side. So that artery that flows from that branch of the aorta that flows through the back region, that aorta flows down and branches from the renal artery that supplies the kidney with the blood. But that renal artery now branches further to form the afferent arterioles that now supply blood to individual nephrons. Sawa. Are we clear? For the person who asked that question there. Then now we go to the right side. Somebody tell me about the distal convoluted tubule. A bit fast, time is really moving, and we have a lot of things to cover. Somebody tell me about the distal convoluted tubule. I want hands in the air. King Marlin.
So in the distal convoluted tubule, that's where we have the reabsorption of the remaining that is useful substances, some salts and water into the bloodstream.
Okay, so number one, mainly in the distal convoluted tubule, it's water that is reabsorbed. They're together. And this water is reabsorbed using two mechanisms. One is a process called osmosis because of the salts. Remember, the salts were reabsorbed in the ascending loop of Henle. When the salts were reabsorbed, the osmotic pressure of the blood in the capillaries became higher, and so osmosis is likely to take place. Another mechanism is by the influence of vasopressin, ADH, and diuretic hormone. You know very well that when the osmotic pressure of the blood goes high, of course, the hypothalamus has the osmoreceptor cells, so that it detects changes in the osmotic pressure and sends impulses to the pituitary gland that is just below the hypothalamus. That pituitary gland produces a hormone called antidiuretic hormone. This hormone moves through the blood into the distal convoluted tubule and the collecting duct and makes them permeable to water. And so more water is reabsorbed in the blood stream to at least lower the osmotic pressure of the blood. Okay. So water is reabsorbed through osmosis and under the influence of a diuretic hormone, which makes the distal convoluted tubule and the collecting duct more permeable to water. The same case when we talk about the ascending loop of Henle, when salts are being reabsorbed there, it's under the influence of aldosterone hormone. Aldosterone hormone is a hormone produced by the adrenal glands. Adrenal glands are glands that are just above the kidneys. They produce aldosterone hormone. Aldosterone hormone, not adrenal, it's aldosterone hormone. Aldosterone hormone makes the ascending loop of Henle more permeable to sodium ions. Then they are reabsorbed there into the bloodstream. when need arises. Sawa. So points to note as we finish on that point, that if you commit yourself to in the proximal convolvulus to list down the useful substances, please make sure there are more than 2. Make sure that you mention the ascending and the descending loop of Henle, mentioning what they carry out. If you decide to draw and label the parts, make sure that you do it effectively, and then you attach each and every part you have to attach its function to it. Okay, so that is, I think that's okay. Now there's a question here that is interesting, that is from Elvaka. That is a difficult name. Is it Elvaka? I don't know. Difficult. But the question is interesting. That why do desert animals have long loop of Henle? Okay.
Yes.
Somebody can answer it for us. That's a very easy one. So I expect that one to be like what? As easy as what? As possible. So somebody to answer for us that question here. Hands in the air. Yes, Jeff Mutugi. Jeff, why do the desert animals have very long loops of Henle?
So that you they have longer loop of Henle, so that you have maximum reabsorption of water because of the scarce amount of water in the desert.
True. Now, that's interesting. Thanks, Jeff. Now, desert animals, like we have the camels, we have the kangaroo rats. They are in an environment where there is very little water. And so one thing that they have to do is to maximize that little amount of water they have and reduce loss as much as possible. Now, one of the ways in which they reduce loss of water is by having a long loop of Henle. And we have mentioned that the descending loop of Henle is responsible for reabsorption of water. So the longer it is, the more water is reabsorbed altogether, so that they maximize, they reabsorb as much water as possible. That's why even the urine of those animals is very concentrated. Actually, for a kangaroo rat, its urine is 5 times as concentrated as your urine, because a lot of water has been reabsorbed back into the bloodstream. Okay. Clarify the point concerning the countercurrent flow in the loop of Henle. I want to Google some diagram here about the loop of Henle, and they explain that thing called countercurrent flow, so that you guys are at speed. Okay. The kidney nephron with capillaries. So I don't know which diagram will be very good for you.
The fourth one.
Huh? The fourth one. Let me try to use this one. And I paste it here. So I try to reduce it so that it can fit this environment here for us to produces a hormone called antidiuretic hormone. Who is that? Now, are you able to see new share? Are you able to see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Let me try to explain the current flow.
Yes.
Now, I want you to see the place where we have the afferent arteriole, the glomerulus, and the efferent arteriole. So.
Yes.
Now, once blood comes from the renal artery here, and it goes through the afferent artery into the glomerulus. There's ultrafiltration that takes place. Right together. Once ultrafiltration takes place, what flows out is, this diagram is not really good, but let me try to use it. What flows out is the glomerular filtrate, and it flows along the renal tubule through the proximal convoluted tubule and downwards. The remaining part of the blood that does not move out, that some water remains, because all the blood cells and blood proteins remain. They move out through the efferent arteriole, right together, and they go to the other side of the distal convoluted tubule. So inaenda kwa distal convoluted tubule and starts flowing back from the distal convoluted tubule. Blood inaanza flow back to the proximal convoluted tubule. Sawa sawa. So the afferent arteriole inaanzia, the capillaries start from the distal convoluted tubule and they start moving back to the proximal convoluted tubule. Naelewana lakini, while the filtrate is flowing from the proximal convoluted tubule to the distal convoluted tubule. Right together. That opposite flow of blood in the capillaries and the filtrate is called countercurrent flow. The filtrate is flowing from the proximal to the distal. The blood from the capillaries is flowing from the side of the distal to the proximal. Sawa sawa. That is countercurrent flow. Are you together? And the main importance of countercurrent flow is to create a higher concentration gradient, sawa sawa, so that the selective reabsorption takes place effectively. Sawa sawa. Is that one clear? Yes, I hope
it is clear.
I hope it is.
Yeah.
Yes. Kabisa.
Now, if there is no question, what else do you want guys to talk about in the kidney? Let me see if I can get another question concerning the kidney. Now you will go and do this one. Now, can you write this question down? Mwendo, you have a question. Can you ask?
I've not gotten the function of the countercurrent flow.
Countercurrent, who can answer him that question? Well, you guys can tell me that nobody can answer that question. Now, Maxwell, Joram.
Sure, countercurrent flow is the opposite flow of blood from the distal convoluted tubule and the filtrate from the proximal convoluted tubule towards the distal.
What's the importance?
Pardon?
Now, we have said, this was my definition, that the countercurrent flow, are you together? In the kidney nephron, is the opposite flow of blood, are you together? And the glomerular filtrate. That aspect of blood flowing in the opposite direction with the glomerular filtrate, that is of countercurrent flow. Sawa. The importance is so that it creates a greater diffusion gradient. Are you together? So that there is efficient reabsorption of materials. Are you together? Of course, you know, when the diffusion gradient or the concentration gradient is created, then processes like diffusion will take place effectively. Sawa. Yes. So we go down. Now I want you guys to go and do these two questions. Sawa. One.
Yes.
You describe the path followed until urea is eliminated from the body. Describe the path followed until urea is eliminated from the body. Sawa. Number two, you explain the mechanisms a camel uses to survive in the desert. Describe mechanisms a camel uses to survive in the desert. So, number three, you discuss the adaptations of the kidney to its functions. Discuss the adaptations of the kidney to its functions. So. Then, is there any question
Pardon
about
me
it?
on the last question.
Describe the adaptations of the kidney to its functions. Describe the adaptations of the kidney to its functions. Is there any question up to that point? I want to move to another part, another section. If there is no question there. Yeah? I'm not getting you guys clearly. I'm not getting you clearly.
Pardon the first question.
Which question there? Describe the path followed until urea is eliminated from the body. Okay. So I want to move to the next part. And I want to start this next part by posing a question on the wall. Now, I want you guys to look at that question, study the diagram below, and answer the questions that follow. So that's the diagram that's on the screen.
Yes.
Let me share it well again. That's the diagram that's on the screen, and I want you guys to help me answer the questions that are there. So I just want hands. The admin is asking to do the roll call. Let us give the admin 5 minutes to do the roll call. Roll call. Yes, sir.
Class and submit. That's all. Take less than 6 seconds. It's now about 50 seconds of not done. $200 organic, about 9 of organic. Okay, so if I've done it, I think you're about 35 students have not done it. Completely only 13, only 14 have responded from Oh. Yeah. Okay, that's all. We stop now.
Now I think we can proceed. I think now we can proceed.
Yes.
Yes. So
yes.
I want us to so there's a question I posed. So can you guys choose that question very fast? And I want to see responses trickling here.
Yes.
Hata ukimuita hivyo.
Sorry, I've been talking, Kumba, I've been not talking.
Yes, yes.
I've been talking, not talking. Now that is serious. Now let me go. I'm saying I'm opening your responses. And if you have principles of biology, you go to page 271, question number 14.9. So let's start with your responses here. Okay. Somebody saying B is the A is the what? B is the hepatic vein. Let me see B. That is not very correct. A is the hepatic artery.
Yes.
Okay, that is right. A is the hepatic artery, that's right. B is the hepatic portal vein, that's right. Okay. B is the hepatic portal vein. C is the hepatic vein. That's fine. That's fine. Let me see the messages here. They're just trickling like water. Oh. So we all agree, we can all agree that naming the parts, A is the hepatic artery. So is the hepatic artery. It is flowing from the outer to the liver. That's the hepatic artery. So A. We all agree that B, that is flowing from the intestines, is the hepatic portal vein. So can you agree with like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And C is the hepatic vein. Can you agree like that? Yes. So we are in agreement, don't we? Well, now, if the animal has recently fed on a diet which is rich in proteins, okay, and carbohydrates, in which of the vessels A, B, and C would you expect to find the highest concentration of glucose? Now, tell me. I'm going back to your charts. Let me see. So we are now answering question B. Achana na A. Somebody saying I'm not audible. Am I?
Yes, you are.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, my lungs out.
You are.
Yes. Is that English? Shouting my lungs out. Is it? I don't know. We just learned English this morning. I don't know how. No.
Irony.
I don't know. No. Jeff. So if the animal has recently fed on diet, which is rich in proteins and carbohydrates, in which of the vessels A, B, and C will you expect to find the highest glucose concentration? So Roman number 1, where will you find the highest glucose concentration? Glucose concentration. Somebody aniambie.
B.
B. Okay. B. Why? Question. Why? Reason, I mean. Nipatie reason.
Because the blood is from the
Yes,
intestine.
Blood is from the
John Paul.
B.
Yes, John Paul. John Paul isn't talking. Alvin, Bogonka, mute.
Because the glucose is absorbed from the intestines.
Yeah, the glucose has just been absorbed from the intestines, okay? So it is being transported to the liver for blood sugar regulation, okay? No hapo iko excess, inapelekwa iende kufanyiwa regulation. So it's very high, it's a very high concentration, okay? Now let's go. Yes. Roman number 2 answers. Roman number 2, amino acids. Where would you get the highest level of amino acids? Somebody? Who is saying C?
E.
Who is saying B? I see Geoffrey has said B, Obocha. Tell us why, Geoffrey.
I think it is because of the same reason it has been absorbed in the intestines and is carried to the liver.
They have just been absorbed from the body. You see, you guys, when you study, when you talk about the function of the liver, you know, blood sugar regulation is a function of the liver. Deamination, deamination, you break down excess. So anything beyond B will not be an answer because amino acids zikiingia liver hivi zinakuwa deaminated excess, so they will not be a lot. So they will not be a lot. Are we clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Roman number 3, carbon dioxide. Hands in the air.
C.
Carbon dioxide. Somebody, Muiruri Vincent. Nani ameinua mkono? Ndongo John. Yes. Ndongo anainua mkono alafu anabaki kama amesulubishwa. Marlin.
C.
C. And this C is why? Give me a reason. Give me a reason. Ndungu umekuwa Yesu wa Tongaren kabisa. You are still crucified with your hand here. Now, give me the reason. Why it is. Yes? It is Shakahola. Tutampeleka huko. Now, give me a reason. Give me why we say it's C. Nipatie answer. Jibu bwana. Reason. Hands. Mtu aseme. Mbona C kuna high carbon dioxide concentration? Hey. Jamaa, kwani nyinyi ni wajinga? Njehuri. Yes, I'm not able to get you clearly. Somebody. Killian.
I believe it's because C contains the carbon dioxide, which is a metabolic waste of the cells in the liver.
Yeah, the liver is one of the organs that has the highest. The cells of the liver are one of the cells that contain the highest number of mitochondria. Are you together? Because they are able to respire highly. You remember, even when you're talking about thermoregulation, the liver, you remember the liver is one of the organs that carries a lot of respiration to produce enough energy in the form of heat to warm the body. So the point is there's very high respiration that takes place in the liver. And a lot of carbon dioxide is produced. So that's why I see we'll have a lot of carbon dioxide. So what's up? Are you guys there?
Yeah. Yes.
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 Okay.
Yes.
Be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, very yes.
We're here.
Yes. Yes.
Now, oxygen, Roman number 4.
Yes.
Okay, where do you get a lot of oxygen?
Hey.
Give me a reason. Give me a reason as to why.
The blood is just from the heart.
The blood is just from the heart.
The left ventricle.
Does that mean that when blood is from the heart, it will have a lot of oxygen?
It's from the
Even
left
blood
side.
that is flowing from the pulmonary artery is flowing from the heart. Does it have a lot of oxygen?
The heart pumps.
No, it's from the left side.
From the left side of the
think
heart.
it's because
Yeah.
Yes.
I want somebody. I want one person. I want one person to tell me. That is King.
One
King
person.
Allen. Yes.
According to me, we're having the blood coming from the aorta, of which you know you be
Yes,
concentrated oxygen.
yes, that is true. Blood is coming from the outer. Blood coming from the outer is oxygenated blood. So,
Contributed.
are we there? It's blood that has been oxygenated. So that's why the blood in A is having a lot of oxygen. Are we there?
yes.
Be there. Roman number 5. Urea. Why do you get a lot of urea?
C.
C.
Yeah, see.
C. Why? Why? Somebody to find. Hey, Brian.
Due to deamination.
Due to deamination. Now, Brian, what is deamination? What term is difficult, right?
Breakdown of amino acids in the liver.
Regulation of amino acids in the liver. Okay. So how does this process take place? Yes, Brian. How does this process take place? Deamination. Kevin Kipkoech. Is somebody, do you guys want me to use the term I used last time? You cannot miss that. How does deamination take place? Hello? Hello? Mvuri? Are you guys still from Alliance? Yeah? Obocha? Yeah. The amino group is removed and converted to urea. Not urea, but ammonia. Now, what is that? So during deamination, one thing that should be in your mind is that the liver is trying to get rid of excess amino acids, okay? So in your writing, the first thing is that then the term excess must exist there, because the liver will not break down all the amino acids. Some of them are taken to the rest of the body to be used for various purposes. So excess amino acids, are you together? Are the ones, so in the liver, the amino group, the amino group is extracted from the amino acid, And several amino acids, amino groups are extracted and they combine together to form ammonia. This ammonia is taken to the ornithine cycle, where in the ornithine cycle, it reacts with carbon 4 oxide to form urea. And now that this urea is the one that is carried, it is carried from the liver through the hepatic vein to the heart. And from the heart now to the kidneys for elimination. Now, if you are clear, now you can be able to think and answer the question that I asked you before to describe the path followed by until urea is eliminated from the body. That path is almost what I've explained there. Are we clear? Can we move to the next objective?
Yes.
Yes. So the next objective, is I want us to just mention the physiological and behavioral mechanisms of thermoregulation to explain the behavioral and physiological mechanisms of thermoregulation, because those are some of the questions you can get. And you know, when we are carrying out thermoregulation, there can be a rise in temperature or a decline in temperature. Okay. So if you're asked this question, and I want you to write down and see how you can answer it, you discuss the physiological mechanisms of thermoregulation in mammals, and you are given 20 marks. How will you do that? We have the physiological, and then we have the behavioral mechanisms. And now you have been asked the physiological mechanisms of thermoregulation in mammals. How will you approach that question? How will you approach that question? Hands in the air. Now, I'm pardoning this, that you're asked a question, you discuss physiological mechanisms of thermoregulation in mammals. Now, how will you approach that question? How will you approach that question? Somebody's telling me shivering. I'm talking about physiological. Do you know what physiology is? Somebody to define for me physiology.
Yes.
Before I get heart attack. Okay. What is physiology? Physiology is a branch of biology, right? What's physiology? So that somebody can be able to understand the difference between a physiological mechanism and a behavioral mechanism, right? Yes. So somebody. Scientific study of body functions. Now, the way the body functions. Okay. So when you answer a question, please answer it in terms of how the body functions. Those the physiological mechanisms. So we start now. Start giving me answers of the physiological functions. How will you first, guys are giving answers without getting the question. Now you're talking about vasodilation. The question is very clear here. Physiological mechanisms during thermoregulation. You see, during thermoregulation, there can be a rise or a decline in body temperature. So the first thing is to demarcate and decide, am I starting with when the temperature is above normal or when the temperature is below normal? Sawa. Yes. Yes. The first thing is that this question is general. Hey guys, the question is general, and it will not be marked as general as it is. I'm saying the question is discuss the physiological mechanisms of thermoregulation in mammals. In thermoregulation, you're carrying out temperature regulation. When you're regulating temperature, you're either trying to reduce temperature that is above normal or raise the temperature that's below normal. So you decide first to demarcate and say, the first part, maybe I'm going to discuss this under lowering the temperature is above normal. Then after that, you can come now and try to raise the temperature that's below normal. So you discuss both sides, how to lower the temperature that is above normal and how to raise the temperature that is below normal. Sawa? Yes. So when you give me an answer, I want an answer, for example, like this. I want to give a sample answer. When the temperature rises above normal, okay, the hypothalamus sends impulses to the liver to carry out more endothermic reactions in the body so that they can produce a heat that sorry, I'm saying, so what have I said? I'm saying that when the temperature is above normal, of course, the hypothalamus sends impulses to the liver to carry out more endothermic reactions in the body. The endothermic reactions utilize the energy in the body, therefore lowering the body temperature. Because endothermic reactions, they utilize the heat, so they reduce the body temperature. So I want answers like that. So no, I want now you two guys to give me answers on when the temperature is above normal. How does the body bring it back to normal using physiological, using how the body functions? So I'm seeing a hand here. This hand is from Ian Okumu.
So when the temperature rises above the normal, the rectapili muscles relaxes, causing the hair follicle to lie flat on the body, trapping less hair, hence reducing insulation, and this will increase the rate of heat loss.
Yeah, so and that's okay. And at the back of your mind, you should know that thermoregulation is under the control of the hypothalamus, and you can thermoreceptor cells. So when the temperature is above normal, the hypothalamus sends impulses to the erector pili muscles to relax, making the hair to lie flat on the surface of the skin, therefore reducing insulation and thus facilitating heat loss. Ben.
When temperature is above, teacher, are we restricted only to human beings, or we can talk of birds also?
We're talking about mammals.
Yes. Can we talk of birds fluffing their feathers?
We are talking about mammals.
Yes.
Okay. So is as a bird a mammal?
No.
Sawa. Let us continue. Yes. Sorry, Ben. No, that is harsh. We are sorry. Abdul Malik Yusuf.
Excuse me, sir. Can we say
yes,
that?
Excused.
When the temperature of the body goes higher than normal, the hypothalamus senses it and sends impulses to the sweat glands, thereby increasing the rate of sweating. And as the sweat evaporates, it carries away latent heat of vaporization, thereby reducing body temperature.
Yeah, therefore cooling the body. That's very nice. That when the temperature is above normal, the hypothalamus senses it, sends impulses to the sweat glands in the skin. The sweat glands secrete more sweat. As the sweat evaporates, this carries away latent heat of vaporization, cooling the body. Nice. And another point, very fast. No, it's lunchtime. I'm also getting very hungry. You see? Ian, you're coming back.
Yes. When the temperature rises above the normal, the hypothalamus sends impulses to the superficial blood vessels, which vasodilate and therefore increasing blood flow near the skin surface, hence increasing the rate of heat loss.
Yes, the blood vessels vasodilate. Are you together? Increase blood flow to the skin surface, and therefore increase heat loss through radiation and even convection. Very nice. Who else is coming in to tell us another one? Can somebody give me another one? Just like the other one. You guys are not telling me about reduction. Yes, Maxwell Joram.
Sure, can we say that animals that are constantly exposed to cold have a lot of fur and a thick layer of sebaceous fat, and this serves to insulate the animal against heat loss as a long-term adaptation to the cold weather.
That's a structural mechanism. That's a structural mechanism. Are you together? That's a structural. That's not a functional. No, your physiological is a functional mechanism. Okay. So that one will not fit there. Ken Njagi, that's why I want you guys to give me a point so that you can rectify one another. Ken Njagi.
Can shivering be a point?
Shivering. The shivering can be,
no.
Yes, shivering can be a structural and a physiological mechanism. Yes. Yes. Another one. Now, do you know that when it is very hot, by the way, when it's very hot and when it's very cold, when do you breathe faster? Somebody, when it's cold and when it's hot,
very cold.
And it's very cold.
Very cold.
When you breathe, is when you breathe faster, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, when it is hot, the hypothalamus sends impulse to the intercostal muscles to decrease the rate of breathing. Okay. So that, when breathing takes place faster, there is increased respiration. You know that? So there will be more heat. So when you breathe at a slower rate, there's less respiration, less heat production. We go to Kosawa.
Yes.
When the temperature is below normal, very fast. When the temperature is below normal, very fast. So tell me, it's the opposite of what you've just said. It's very fast. When it is cold, it is the inverse of what you have said. Ben?
When the temperatures are below normal, impulses are sent by the hypothalamus to the liver to increase of exothermic reactions, which will later increase heat in the body, bringing the body to an optimum.
Good, Ben, that is good. Actually, it is the reverse of what you've just said, okay? But don't go to an exam and say the reverse of what I've written above is true, okay? You get a 0. So you write answer that are the opposite of what you've just said, and then you get it. Now, because of time, I want us to go to the behavioral mechanisms. I think that will be the last point. It means we'll not have covered our objectives. That is sad. So what are some of the behavioral mechanisms? How organisms now behave? Somebody, Ian Okumu.
We can say basking.
Basking in the sun when it is hot. And what about when it is cold?
You can put on warm clothes.
By the way, if you ask this question again, listen to this. They ask, for example, discuss the behavioral mechanisms of thermoregulation. Right together. The mistake most of you make is you will discuss those ones related to high temperature and forget that thermoregulation also involves low temperature. Hearing that? So when you're discussing about thermoregulation, when you talk about basking in the sun, when it is hot, and what of when it is cold? The animals seek what? Shelter. Right together from cold. So you have to discuss both sides. Jackson Obama. Hibernation, nimeona tumeandika hibernation during low temperature. Sawa sawa. And activation during high temperature. Jeff Mutugi, you guys are not talking.
Ishasema.
Sawa. Nani hajasema hapa? Shema Oliver.
Elephants flap their ears.
Yeah, elephants flap their ears. Okay. Another. Wearing heavy clothes during hot weather. Heavy clothes during hot weather. Hot weather. Who is this now that's saying this? You wear. You wear warm clothes during cold weather. Okay. Yes, and you also wear light clothes during hot weather, so that to increase heat loss. Dogs panting. Sawa. Yeah, cuddling or huddling together of animals to retain heat. You see herd coming together. You see dogs or puppies sleeping together. That is huddling together to retain heat. Some animals will curl themselves to reduce the surface heat exposed to heat loss when it is cold. Sawa. Migration to warmer or cooler areas. Burrowing, drinking cold water when it is hot and drinking warm water when it is cold. All those things, those are behavioral mechanisms. Sawa. Now go try this question at home. Sawa. Now you after this class you leave school and go at home. Now explain how endotherms respond to hot and cold conditions in their environment. Explain how endotherms respond to hot and cold conditions in the environment. You go do that. Okay? Question number 2.
Yes.
Discuss the changes that occur in man when it is cold. 12 marks. Discuss the changes that occur in man when it is cold. Sawa. The first question is, explain how endotherms respond to hot and cold conditions in the environment. 1. 2. Discuss the changes that occur in man when it is cold. Changes that occur in man when it is cold. Okay? Sawa. And if you like it, you can send it to me. I check and reply. Okay?
Yes, sir.
And in your paper, you fold some hongo. Okay? Now, we have not finished our objectives. I don't know, you guys. I know you're tired. I'm so feeling tired. I've rushed, but there's still some objectives here. We have not done anything on dichotomous key. Do I leave you to go for lunch or we do one dichotomous key?
We go for lunch.
We go for lunch. I'm also going for lunch. Okay.
You also score.
Remain one.
You also score.
Lunch.
Lunch.
Somebody has a question. Yes.
Somebody has a question.
Keep quiet.
Order.
Keep quiet. Somebody has a question.
Lunch.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes,
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So on that first question, you said explain
What
how.
the fuck?
Who is that?
What? So on that first question, you said explain how endotherms respond to hot and cold, temperatures. So what's an endotherm?
Now, what is an endotherm? That's a very hard word. Does somebody know?
Yes.
Yes. Who knows? Can you tell us
Blooded.
something? We don't say like that in high school.
Yes, Chacha, yes.
We don't use warm-blooded and cold-blooded here. Hey.
It has a constant.
Excuse me, sir.
Is somebody to say what endotherms are, please? Usisema hiyo ulisoma primary.
Endotherms are animals which have a constant body temperature, internal body temperature. Sorry.
So how do you divide? I want a better definition.
Sure, I can try.
Yes.
An endotherm is an animal which generates heat from within. Where we get now endothermic, the meaning is to generate heat from within a body or an organism.
An endotherm is an animal that is able to maintain a constant body temperature despite changes in the external environment. So it's able to maintain its constant internal temperature despite changes in the external environment. So you are one.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Yes, thank you too. Okay, you guys have a nice lunch.
No, me, I'm wondering which slum school she's
Thank you,
from.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
Tell me to have a nice lunch too.
Slum schools.
Thank you, Volume. Thank you.